Well, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on where in the country you are. I am absolutely thrilled to have with us today Moira Smiley to do a little chat with us on FolkWorks and find out some things about her. However, you can go to her website, which is moirasmiley.com, right?
Yep, that's right.
That's easy one. And find out all the latest that's going on and a lot of other things that you might like to know. So Moira, welcome.
Thank
You
you.
for being with us. And I'm just gonna ask you a few questions. So, my goodness, I spent quite a bit of time trying to learn things about you. And my gosh, I could have spent weeks, I think. You're truly one of the most diversely talented people I can think of. And I didn't know how to describe you, and I don't usually do this, but it was too difficult. So I wanted you to describe yourself. Tell us how
That's a good
you
idea.
talk about yourself and to kind of and include all those things or as many as possible that you do.
That's a great idea. Hi, and thanks for having me, Monica. And I love FolkWorks, and we'll jump at any time to be part of what happens at FolkWorks. And and the other thing is, it doesn't look like it, but I pronounce my name Mora, just like Laura or Nora, but
Thank
it looks but it looks like Moira, so that's totally, I go by that as well.
Okay.
And I think I describe myself as a performer composer or a singer composer, because I think my primary tool of communication is voice, is singing. And then I've been making music since I was tiny, little, and so I feel comfortable with that part of, with that description of my creativity, composer.
Okay, that I would say that then that's your overarching description, but I think of you mainly because I've seen you mostly as a, I don't know, dancer, percussive dancer. Is that a description? As a lot of dancers,
Yeah, that is also
well as a dancer.
I mean, I don't call myself a dancer, but I definitely call myself a mover, and I love to use percussive dance as one of the ways to communicate. And so, yeah, I'd say the tools for communication are percussive dance, or I should say specifically body percussion, and then playing piano was my first instrument, as you know, from coming up as a kid, and I still do that. And then banjo and accordion. I also played cello when I was younger, but I don't really do that anymore. But sometimes I like writing for it. But yeah, I like the use of the body to make music because I'm very important. Like the whole kinetic aspect of music has always been the sort of the most joyful part of it for me.
I must say I will never forget a house concert that I was actually FolkWorks sponsored in Santa Monica, and you were there with Vocal, and performed that night. I will never forget that performance. It was just
I'm so glad.
spectacular. It's one of my
I remember that one.
My favorite memories. It was spectacular. So, but you also do arrangements for other people, conduct, you teach, right? I produce. You record. You perform with amazing people and groups all over the world. So
Mm,
this is why we could spend the whole time just talking about all those things. But let
being
me ask
confused.
you a tough question.
Okay.
Among all the things that you do you have a favorite? You have a favorite thing you love?
That's a great question. I think my answer to that is that I like the moments, or sometimes it's a moment that stretches for a month or two, maybe even a year. I like those times when I have a balance of things that I love in my life. So I love the balance of having time to sequester myself away and compose my things the way I make them. But then I also want that activity to be shared with making music with other people and having social time with other people and having conversations with people. Balance of of yeah, this, I guess, introverted and extroverted aspect of making music, then I feel the best.
We're getting a little bit
Yeah, I think
choppy. I
that's
don't
it.
know why
And again, it's that also,
you're freezing. You're
I saw that. I
frozen.
think my connection is unstable. Yeah.
Okay,
Is
well,
it
we'll
is it
do our
back
best.
now?
Yes, yes, good. So,
Okay.
so there's a
Yeah.
lot of things that are your favorite. Maybe
But
it's the thing that you're doing at the moment that's your favorite. I wonder.
it's kind of true. That's kind of true. Yeah, exactly. Well, one of the reasons that my internet is unstable is that I'm in a beautiful island, the San Juan Island, right near
Ah,
the town of Friday Harbor. And uh-oh, did you hear that message coming in? I just got rid of
no.
my mail. And okay, good. But yeah, and so there's a great deal of travel in my life, um, and oh gosh, I just forgot your question. I got distracted by trying
Just
to get rid of
wondered
my
what your
mail.
of
Sorry.
all the things you do, what are your favorite? What is your favorite or favorites? And it
Yeah,
sound yeah. And I
yeah,
was I was
right.
concluding that maybe the thing you're doing at the moment is
Yeah,
it changes. In other words,
yeah, it does change. And I think my favorite thing is to see joy in people and to see how when we do something artistic, when we do something communicative, um, and it touches people, that's my favorite thing. That's why I do this.
yeah,
So whatever that is, whatever that can be, um, that's where I want to be.
that's a beautiful answer, actually. Um,
Thanks.
well, you mentioned that you started playing something or started performing or started being around music when you were little. But when did you know, or did you? Was there a moment that you knew that you wanted to be a performer?
It's a great question. There were a couple of times in my childhood where I locked into it. So the first was 10 years old. Siberian choir had come to my town as part of the Glasnost Children's Art Exchange. The sister city in Siberia sent a choir. They performed, and I was convinced that I wanted to do that. I wanted to travel and make music. So, and the sound of their voices was really life changing to me. And I got that sense again as a teenager when I started performing mostly with other singers. It was a lot of a cappella music, um, and seeing how that was a way to make people happy. And um, that was at this time as serious in classical music and getting a scholarship to a conservatory or school of music, and that made me feel like, oh well, maybe I could even make a living doing it too. So yeah, I think again the theme seems to be when those moments when I saw travel, people at their most joyful, and being able to, feed and house myself with music. That made me realize, or made me think, yeah, this is what I want to do for my work.
Fabulous. Did you ever think about doing anything else or prepared to do something else?
I did,
What
yeah.
was that?
It wasn't too far afield. I've always loved writing, and so I thought perhaps I could do some sort of writing, um, both in a nonfiction or journalistic way, or perhaps fiction. I didn't have a deep sense of um, drive, and maybe I didn't have people in my life that were mentoring me in that way, just as much as music. And so, um, yeah, I think I had mentors early on in music that really drew me towards it. Yeah.
So you could have become a writer, but you do some, I guess composing is
Right.
certainly writing, right? Or
And writing lyrics, yeah, it
writing
has that
lyrics.
quality. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I also was interested, I remember, in biology and botany. And again, I think that is so much about the people in your life. For me, it was because I thought I had an adult, kind of take me under her wing who was a botanist. And I thought she was really cool. And when she spoke about that, um, it made me excited about it, and I liked school. And so I always loved learning about lots of things. Um, and I even loved, math and physics, but I didn't find myself, around people that were doing that for a living. And so I think, yeah, it was kind of circumstantial. Like the people in my life made me go in the direction I did.
I know I think I had this pervasive thing I wanted to teach. I didn't have anything particular I wanted to teach, but I certainly have done a lot of teaching, both at the university level, professional teaching, and also teaching a lot through my music that I make too. So somehow I was able to do it, even though I didn't
Yeah.
train to be a teacher.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
find we find the way, don't we?
Yeah, we found the way.
Yeah, and how did you learn what you do? Did you study? Did you just absorb things in your environment? Did somebody teach
Yeah.
you? You do so many things so well.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
How did that happen?
Yeah, it was a combination of those. It was early on. I'm grateful to my parents for giving me lessons. In a household that wasn't, that was a bit struggling with money. There was a value placed on having musical lessons. And then in general, and then going to choir practice, that began fairly early. So there was some formal education, music education, and then I fell in, partly because of having some talent in that direction, fell in with some adult choirs, and this is still when I was a kid, that I could be useful too, because I was a pretty quick study, and that was where I started learning about different folk traditions, and that was really cool because they were unusual. That was where I started learning about Balkan music, music from Bulgaria and Macedonia and Serbia, and there was a real sense of excitement and connection to those types of singing. I mean, I found that as a kid. And I ended up seeking that out on my own in various informal ways. The cool thing about folk music is that it's often people that are in the academy, but also have very active community music lives outside, have a group or do summer camps and that kind of thing. So in the study of folk music, I yeah, I guess it was right place, right time that I had access to adults and other fellow young people that were also interested in, well, let's go write a grant and study Irish music, Shanno singing, you know. So I did that early in college, you know, write a grant that pays for my flight over to Dublin to study with a Shanno singer. So um, that has been a big part. And taking vocal lessons over the years with lots of teachers all over the world. That has been a priority for me. And meanwhile, I became a working musician at age 18. So I've been teaching lessons and, you know, being a useful musician, um, either as a performer or a teacher, um, a ringer in a group situation, an accompanist. So I kind of just said yes to a lot of things early on, and I learned by doing them.
Wow. Well, I don't usually ask this question, but I have the urge to ask you this. The variety of music genres and what you do to communicate, because I think that's what you do,
Yeah.
you know, is so great. And there's a kind of a couple schools of thought. You know, you should concentrate on one thing so that you become a real master at it, or you never will become really good at something. And the others, it says, you know, learn what interests you or what comes along, or as many things. I'm in the second one, and so are you. But what do
Yeah.
you think about that? Do you
I've
have
had
any?
that. I've had people say that to me, you know, since I was in my 20s, you know, you need to concentrate on something. You'll either hurt yourself, you know, by trying to do too many things. And my answer to that is that yes and no, because I think if you do choose to if you have the luck of knowing what you want kind of early enough that you can do that, that you can concentrate on what, you know, a specific genre or specific skill, great. Yeah, you should do it. Um, I think, and I still admire my peers and my mentors who have chosen one thing to do, one sort of field of study or craft, um, and really stayed with it. I think, yeah, there is no doubt that depth happens in that case. But I also then say, if what feeds you is to keep searching and to keep communicating with people and to learn about the world by bumping into it, then I think you become a master of other things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
So you kind of alluded to this somewhat, but who are some of the people who, well, I want to say admire, but more than that, who influenced your style? I mean, you have your own style.
Hmm.
Whatever you do, it's Moira doing it. Okay,
Yeah.
but you know, are there people that
Along
have,
the way.
yeah, that influence the way that you communicate, the way that you perform?
Yeah. There are, and this is like when people ask me, you know, what are you listening to, or what's your favorite album? I often go blank because I think there are so many, and I, you know, in the different eras of my life, there have been big influences. So, um, funnily enough, when I was a really serious pianist, there was a particular pianist who inspired me because there seemed to be a depth and a humility about him. His name was Richard Good. I was really fascinated with this pianist because there wasn't anything flashy. It was just about the music. Um, I remember reading about him a lot. So that was, you know, in my teens. And then while I was in my teens, I also was around this group of musicians called Northern Harmony or Village Harmony. And there was a sense of joy in the music that that group made that was deeply influential to me. That joy and the willingness to be fearless, listen carefully, and also be fearless in trying things that are outside your ken. So that was a big influence, Village Harmony / Northern Harmony. I remember in my 20s I went to Bloomington and experienced this festival called the Lotus World Music Festival in Bloomington. And I saw the Swedish fiddler and singer Lena Villemark, and she completely blew my mind. She was very physical, deeply skillful in her instruments, both voice and fiddle, passionate, fierce presence. And I could sense she was an improviser as well as a bearer of tradition. And that was what I wanted to do. And so she was a big one for me for a while. I would say in recent years, the leader of Tune Yards, with whom I've sung over the years, the last several years, Meryl Garbus, and her project called Tune Yards has been a big influence. I mean, there have been so many, there are other, folk musicians that have really deeply influenced me. And I think I'm not mentioning, folks like Karen Casey's singing, her depth when she's singing an English language Irish song. And who else? Kathy Ryan also in the Irish band Dervish. And that sense that that musician is fully committed, fully invested with their entire being. Those were the ones I looked out for. And I was never interested in people who were just virtuoso or sort of smooth about it. I wanted to have a little bit of the grit and some of the pain that comes with devoting yourself to an art form that talks about pain as much as it talks about sorrows, but it does so in a joyous or at least highly communicative way. So you're singing songs about deep sorrows or injustices of the past, and you're opening yourself up to that part of your humanity and empathy and seeing suffering and feeling affected by it. And you're doing your best to be a clear channel in communicating about that part of life, even though you're in a setting, which music usually is, of joy and fellowship, So I wanted to be around musicians that were walking that line with their whole being.
It's so interesting, all the descriptors you've given, because I think all of that shows up in your performances. I think it really is part of what makes you the performer that you are. Mm-hmm. And that was really my question. That was great. Thank you, Moira. But you talked about being in an atmosphere of joy. Do you have like a favorite venue, a favorite place, a favorite environment that you like to perform in? Particular?
That's a great question because it's ever changing. Yeah, it really does change over the years. I've always also, I should say, having talked about joy and the joy that I look out for in another performer, and also the sorrow that I look out for, the ability for that performer to feel deeply, means that I love music in an intimate space. But it's also somewhat sometimes really difficult for me to be on stage, or difficult after I performed. I think, was that good enough? Was that communicative enough, honest enough, virtuosic enough? So I have also enjoyed being in a performance space where I feel protected by, well, let's just say that it's privilege. So a nice performance venue, um, in a way, this is interesting to say, but like the performance venue already says, this person, you should listen to them. Like, I like being in a situation in which the curating has been done and people are showing up in trust that what they'll be given is good and worth their time. So I have enjoyed big spaces too. It actually doesn't matter to me how many people are there. It's the quality of attention. So I would perform the same for 2 people as I would for 200,000. So yeah, so I would say over the years, having performed now in a lot of fancy places, that I have enjoyed them because people show up with their full selves open, partially because of the atmosphere of that place.
Which really is at least a partial answer to my next question, just perfect segue. Do you have a favorite performance, the performance that really stands out for you, maybe ever? I actually have two of those myself, and I'll never
Oh.
forget them. But I just wonder if
Hmm.
you have a favorite performance, and you have one that didn't work out so well.
Oh my gosh.
At least that you'd like to, oh, I wish that didn't happen, or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Gosh, there have been so many. And I have, how sometimes your memory holds on to the ones that you happen to take pictures of, or there was a video. And then I kind of question myself, am I remembering this because I have a video, or because I was really there, like, and it was unforgettable to me and my body? I mean, obviously some of the moments of like, wow, were in big places like the Hollywood Bowl and the Walt Disney Concert Hall, where you just have this like palpable electric energy from a lot of people being so glad that they're there, you know? And so those experiences, which were often shared with other people, either I was singing with tune yards, or I'm trying to think, there was a real, or I was leading a group of singers, and we were all moving together in the same percussive way. And so that makes, and you have 1,000 bodies doing that. That's pretty thrilling to have a teaching experience, or a sort of leading others experience that moves the room. So I've had that a couple of times, where, we create our own wind inside of a venue.
You mean like the time that you were, maybe it was Disney Hall with
Yeah, yeah,
with the LA Master Chorale,
yes.
and you were all doing Sylvie. Oh my gosh, I love watching that. I go back to that. I play that.
Ah,
I
it
play
was,
that quite a bit. I love
wow.
that.
It is. It's so
Absolutely,
gorgeous.
absolutely incredible.
That
Absolutely,
felt really good. Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah. So I'd say those kinds of experiences were great, but I also loved the really off the beaten path experiences. One was singing after a Ladysmith Black Mambazo show, with my first a cappella group. We got to meet them because we auditioned for Paul Simon's musical. I'm forgetting the name of it. The Cape Man, I think. And so we met, um, Ladysmith Black Mambazo through his manager, and we got to see them a few times, and one time we got to meet up in a room and just sing together.
Yeah.
That was pretty amazing. Um, and there was just generosity from them. And those kinds of more intimate experiences happen a lot with folk music, where you're just sharing your love of something really particular that doesn't make a huge fuss of itself, but is so exquisite in the details. Those are some of my favorite music experiences.
Do you remember one that really kind of bombed? Did that ever happen to you? Maybe never.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, I have had even recent experiences because of the sort of, because I'm a performer that's hard to pin down as far as what is she going to do this time, and so somebody will hire me thinking that I do this thing, and then I come and I do something different. So for instance, she's going to do a bunch of old folk songs, and I come and play my piano and do sort of my new songwriting songs, and someone's like, we didn't really want that. We wanted to hear her sing some old Irish folk songs, or some of that Bulgarian stuff. So I think I've definitely had those times where I know I'm disappointing because I've been kind of more all over the map. I've been a little bit of a fish out of water sometimes.
And
Yeah.
well, we forget about those, but they do linger in there someplace.
Yeah.
It can happen. It can happen.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something a little different here. You perform with a lot of other people. In any of your ways of performing. When you decide to record with someone, or write for someone, or play with someone, or dance with them, what do you look for in the people that you want to work with? What characteristics do they have? What skills, talents? Why do you choose? Why do you agree? How do you agree to work with others? What are you looking for?
It's a great question. And it really has some specific answers per genre of music. So if I'm doing, if I agree to write something for somebody, I am going to sit in a room for a while and prepare something in totality, like it will be finished when I hand it to them. And so I'm looking for someone who can bring that to life without me there, right? So that's one thing, and that is a big part of my job these days. When I collaborate in person, that too depends on the music genre. So if I'm singing songs and I'm the singer, then I just want the instrumentalist to be wonderful in their craft, open to me being an instrument too. I want to be regarded as an instrument, like that the voice is an instrument, as well as just, and not, I should say, not just a communication of words. So when I choose to collaborate, I want to be one of the musicians. And that's, I think that's become clear to me only recently, that that's probably what I seek. I don't always get that, but my favorite collaborations are those that regard singing and the act of music as, again, something you do with your full self, And that often means that if I'm working with an instrumentalist, I love it when they're open to putting down the instrument and moving with me or improvising with me. Or being so kind of fearless and deep in their craft that they'll meet me in the zone of the unknown. Somebody like Joe Craven is amazing like that. Joe
Oh
Craven
my
is
gosh,
such a master of that.
I can
Yeah.
see that. I can absolutely see that. I know Joe quite well.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he's a special spirit that embodies what I'm talking about. But yeah, I'm quite open as far as, and I think the thing that I have in my backbone at this point is I also need to be respected as a musician for the sort of particularities that I bring. And yeah, and that means trying to figure out my language. Like sometimes musicians do speak the same language, but in fact, we have several dialects, and I want somebody to be open to trying to figure out my dialect as I'm trying to figure out theirs.
So true people that you feel you can really collaborate with on some kind of equal footing, respecting each other's skills and talents and their willingness to maybe try something new or different than they usually do.
And I should say I am quite open because I have loved working with people that are kind of unequivocal about what they want me to do. So when I sing with Tune Yards, I pretty much do what she wants me to do, and I am fine with that because it's so interesting to me and so deeply satisfying. And I felt that way singing with Solace as well. When, I was stepping into a role that maybe only used part of my skill set, I'm not composing or arranging, for instance, that's fine too. If I feel like they are powerfully doing something that I can join with, I'm into that too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's wonderful. So you have a number of albums, and I don't know, do you have books that you've written?
I haven't.
You haven't done a book.
No.
Well, maybe in the future.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite album of yours? Do you have one that you particularly?
I think I took my time with the album Unzip the Horizon. So I really like that one because I hear all the care and love that went into that and what comes with taking time and really being deeply I was going to say perfectionist, but that's not it. It's just finding the very, very best that you can do. And usually I've done things much more quickly, and I would even say in a rushed kind of way. So I really like Unzip the Horizon. And then the last album that I made, In Our Voices, was very good for my heart in 2020 because it was a combination of singers that I really respected and learned a lot from, and it was a lot of social justice themed songs, and that felt like it was the right thing to be putting out there. So that felt right for the moment.
And if someone said, well, what is the one album I should get to know Moira Smiley?
Oh my goodness. Well, I suppose it would be the Unzip the Horizon. Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know if you can get it from one album, but that's fine. Yeah.
I think that's probably true.
Yeah, because I am all over the place.
Or your videos.
Yeah, the videos are good. I think in that they have especially the recent, the videos in the last few years have been real. I'm proud of them. Yeah, I like them. And live videos too, I guess sometimes. They're not all great. All the, ones that happen to be taken at a performance. They're not always my performance favorites, but
Yeah,
whatever.
not always the best. Well, tell us, what have you got planned here for the future? Any kind
Yeah.
of gigs? Who are you playing with? When? Where? I think things are opening up again and
Yeah.
looking to the future.
Yeah, they are. So I'd say big part of my spring was writing a bunch of well, I should say big part of my early spring was the premiere of a secular liturgy that I wrote. So that was for voices and some instruments, and it was a big celebration of poetry and setting poetry, my own, but also just reading a lot of different poets. And so that kind of shaped my whole last year, was reading a lot of poetry and um, thinking about big philosophical things, like what unites all of us,
Mm.
what are those little things that can make us feel like we belong, and how do we acknowledge our conflicts with humanity, or decency. And so that was then. And then I think coming into 2022, I will be doing a lot more solo shows. I'll be traveling quite a bit to do the residencies and camps that are, both folk music and choral music. So all over the world for those. And trying to think of something specific I can tell you. Um, I mean, I think for interest in folk work, for anybody who's probably watching this, I have the Folks Fest in Colorado, which is a wonderful songwriting school, and then it culminates in a festival in the early part of August. So that I'm looking forward to. I'm going to perform. I'm bringing some singers together for that. So. And then, I'm saying it aloud to you, even as I'm sitting here in this lovely place, and I haven't done my work towards it, but I'm wanting to do a solo show, make a solo show that isn't just kind of scrabbled together, but is just fully formed. And I'm determined to make a solo show that's a little bit deeper than ones I've done before. Maybe with a story that runs all the way through, um, and just feels like a show, a personal statement.
Sounds wonderful. Do you think you have come to that over time, this desire
Yeah.
to do this, to maybe bring things together? Yeah,
Yep.
it sounds like a reaching of a stage or phase.
I think so.
It sounds
Yeah.
wonderful. I'll be
Well, thank you.
watching for it. I'll be
Okay.
watching for it.
All right.
So, Moira, I'd like to, we're getting close to winding up, but would you be willing to play, sing, dance, do anything for us right now?
I can, I was thinking as I chose my background that I was like, I'm just going to sing a cappella this song that is, it's not a new song, but it's um, one of my most personal songs. It's called Dressed in Yellow, and it's about my father. And I can do it here in this guest cottage where I am on the San Juan Islands, without an instrument. So here's the song Dressed in Yellow. And it's about a dream I had when I came into LA on a tour bus. And it was a very vivid dream. And I woke and I immediately wrote a lot of the lyrics down. Came very directly. It was just sort of describing the dream of meeting my recently deceased father. So it describes that. Yeah. So here it is. I met my father all dressed in yellow. Take heed, take warning, daughter. That's your line, actually. So that's sung by everybody. Take heed, take warning, daughter. Take heed, take warning, daughter. And the light was soft and strange around him. And then you sing, there are many things to know. So every verse is going to be like that. I'll sing something. You say, take heed, take warning, daughter. I'll give you another line. And then you go, there are many things to know. So it's like this old ballad form, call and response. So I'll start over.
I don't know if I can sing.
Oh,
I'll
you could mute yourself and sing, you know?
Okay, I will.
Yeah. Okay. I met my father all dressed in yellow. Take heed, take warning, daughter. And the light was soft and strange around him. There are many things to know. Hello, Father, how can you be here? Take heed, take warning, daughter. You have been gone for these 3 years. There are many things to know. And such sweetness in your smile. Take heed, take warning, daughter. Do you bring good news from the dead? There are many things to know. My father sat across from me then. Take heed, take warning, daughter, and quietly began to read. There are many things to know. Oh, Father, I could not trust you. I had no warning, Father. Your anger closed the door of my young heart. There are many things to know. But as I dream you in sunny yellow, I need no warning, Father. I know my heart can open wider. There are many things to know. Well, I look across at my young father, unsure of what to do or say. My fear tells me I must ignore him. My loves and labors take me away. But as I close my cloak of labor, I catch his eyes once more in case. And there is laughter coming through me, and there is laughter on his face. Oh, he looked up, yes, he laughed with me. I need no warning, Father. And in that laughter, sweet forgiveness, that is what I came to know. That is what I came to know. That is what I came to know.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks for singing along.
Really, really lovely. Beautiful, very moving.
Yeah. Dads are important. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's
my pleasure.
Truly appreciate it. We will all enjoy watching this. It will be on the FolkWorks YouTube channel. I so appreciate your willingness to share so much of yourself, your thinking, your background, how you came to be you, and know that you are loved all over the world.
I love FolkWorks, so this is a mutual thing. So thanks, Monika, for a really great interview. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.